Troy from Ace Appliance in Toledo, Ohio. Welcome back to another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Alright, well today what we're looking at is a Whirlpool dryer. Customer's complaint is that it is not advancing to cool down. She basically, when we got here, it was set at 50 and she said it does not move from 50 at all. Today for this repair, what you're going to need is a Phillips head screwdriver. I use a drill. If you don't have one, you can just use a screwdriver. What I'm going to do first off is I'm going to check, make sure it turns on, which it does. Let it run for a second because I want to make sure that I'm getting good heat inside. If I'm getting good heat inside, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it off, open the door, shut it so it's turned off. I'm going to listen to the timer. I'm going to listen for the timer to be advancing. See if I can hear that it's making noise, see if it's doing anything at all. Depending on what I find there, I'm going to move on to test other things. Let's see if we have heat. And we have heat, so we're on, we're working. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to listen for the timer to see if it's making any noise. And it is not making any noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the cover, the top, so I can make sure and find me a tech sheet, make sure there's a diagnostic sheet in here so I can try and test the timer. If I'm unable to find a sheet and unable to test the timer, what I'm probably going to do is pull the timer off and open it up and see if I can see anything wrong with it. If it is a timer, I'm able to do so. To take this cover off, particular one, there's a screw here and a screw here. I'm going to take it off that way to start with. I may have to end up taking the back cover off to get the timer out, but I want to see if I have a tech sheet first. And there is no tech sheet, so I'm going to look at a few other spots for a tech sheet. Alright, so we have no tech sheet and or no wire diagram. So next thing I'm going to do, since I don't have either of those and I can't test it across certain pins on the timer, I'm going to advance the unit to air fluff. Again, listen, no timer noise. In this unit you should pretty much hear it making a ticking noise as it's going through, but I not hear that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the unit. I'm going to see if I have heat still. The unit's still just a little bit warm, so we're just going to let it air out for a minute, try and let some of that heat out. And then I'm going to turn it back on and see if I have heat. If I have heat, I'm going to check one other thing, and that is the heater circuit. I'm going to make sure the heating element is not shorted out to ground. Because if it is shorted out to ground, the heat will come on all the time. That doesn't necessarily explain why it's not advancing. I'm actually leaning towards that it is a bad timer since it is not advancing, but I want to rule out other parts as well before I have the customer pay for that. We have a cool drum, so we're going to start it on air fluff. And let it run for a minute. Okay, so I'm letting it run for a minute or so, and I'm going to check and see if I have heat inside. I have no heat, so the timer is at least advancing that portion of the unit. So what we'll do is we'll turn it to 50, and I'm just going to let it run. I'm going to let it run for about 5-10 minutes, see what happens with the unit. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we've been running this dryer for about 10 minutes now, and what you can see is that I had it set at 50 and it's still set at 50. The timer itself is not advancing, so it never will make it to cool down. The heat will cycle on and off, but the clothes will always be warm till the very end when you come take them out. So what we're going to do is replace the timer on this unit and go from there. Thank you for watching another quality video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.